We've all been to nightclubs before. You'll see groups of nerds on the dance floor and sometimes they get a little overconfident. My name is Daniel Kratt and this is Craig Rushforth. We're the dev portion of Big Stack Studios. We're here today to introduce our first big release, Hottie Hookups. It's a time management game, but it's a little more grown up, kind of closer to what we would actually want to play. The name of the game is hooking up the hotties and bouncing out the nerds.
Say it's edgy.
Oh man, can I think any other words?
Some people might take offense to some of the different characters. You know, I have comic books at home. I have a large video game collection.
You're up there. You're like the Pope. The Pope of nerds.
If the nerds hang around the hotties too much, they'll get more and more fed up with the nerds swarming around them and leave the dance floor. Once the hotties are hooked up enough, they're ready to go, they've gotten to know each other, draw them to a matching cab, and they continue the procreation party elsewhere.
Once they get in the cab, I'm sure it's coffee and a chat.
The game is rated 4+. I don't think they're having sex in the back of the cab.
They're making love.
In the back of the cab.
My name is Sil. I'm a production artist for Hottie Hookups. The cast of the game does span across various ethnicities. You're pairing up by the color of their outfits.
They have different nerd tolerances.
These are like your basic hotties.
Some of them will hook up with each other faster. You get bonus points for matching colors. The same color hotties hooked up and sent home in a matching cab. A lot of the game's features involve tilting and shaking. Here comes Rolanda, a bigger girl that you gotta roll on through the dance floor. Bad for business.
So yeah, I hear some of you guys talking about iPhone games.
Developing for the iPhone is fun. There's a huge install base. The last game that we made was mentioned by Megan Fox on the Jimmy Fallon show.
First rule of Big Stack Studios, you don't talk about Big Stack Studios.
We have online leaderboards.
Talk about the game.
We're doing a promo video.
The second rule of Big Stack Studios, you don't talk about Big Stack Studios.
It is kind of new. There's nothing exactly like this on the App Store.
In the casual space, we had a 6-month lead time after they hear about it for the first time to make a clone. We're seeing that happen much more rapidly in the iPhone space.
But Craig's pretty amazing, so I think it would take him a little longer to copy this. I love working with Craig. We've been getting along for years. Kind of complement each other.
My role is really to manage investors and their demands. That shields guys from the pressures of having to, get a hit every single time.
John doesn't even want me talking to my wife about the games they're making.
Remove those things from the equation, that allows guys like Dan and Craig to really run wild.
John's always searching for bugs around the office. I don't think that any other developers really do that.
Truth be told, I didn't have a lot of creative input other than, the foosball table.
We use it to lure in new developers, bait and switch. Oh man, these guys play foosball. That's generally how we rope them in.
That was my idea.
Throughout the course of the game, we introduce multiple different nerd types. The game kicks it up a notch in every level. There's a nerd bus. Once that pulls in, we're gonna have to fill it up with nerds. Professor Dork, he's gonna steal your hotties if you don't get them out of the way. Just like that.
My favorite nerd, definitely the cougar. You hear that?
She was a hottie, but then when she gets close enough, she becomes a cougar, so you gotta shake her off. She's good from far, but far from good.
As you progress through the levels, you can go to Cancun, Rio, Ibiza, and Tokyo. I kind of faked up Gundam Robot for all you anime fans out there. This was the original logo. We began to incorporate male-female symbols to emphasize the hookup. 2 lines of text joined together. The masculine symbol pointing upwards, which is more symbolically correct. Dan will be submitting the game to the App Store today. I really need to whip up a 512 by 512 large icon for him.
Got that right. Get it done. Get it done. Me and Craig go out for lunch probably every second day to talk about new features, and it's a very collaborative process between the two of us.
Dan has the final say, but we both play a lot of games, we both know what we like playing, and I think that is the key to its success really. Most of my job is to make sure it runs fast and get Dan the tools he needs to make the game as fun as possible.
In my experience as CEO of Big Stack Studios, Hottie Hookups is the best way to tap hotties.
Submitting the game today to Apple, and fingers crossed you'll be playing it sometime in February.
Or early March.
And the third rule of Big Stack Studios is